Hello, everyone. Welcome to our latest CyCast, and we have an outstanding guest today, and Lawrence Big Daddy Hunt, who is a first-team All Big Eight performer and was a fierce, defensive lineman for the Cyclones during their heyday of the 1970s and those early bowl teams from 1971 to 1973. Big Daddy racked up an incredible 334 tackles in just 3 seasons, and he will be inducted into the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame this fall. Welcome to the CyCast, Big Daddy.
Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you.
Well, the first question I got to ask you, what was your reaction when you found out that you're going into the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame this next year?
Uh, let's see. Christmas, uh, candy store, and a great day at the beach. I mean, all the things. The day that my daughters were born, it's that kind of excitement. It's a big deal. I think when you commit yourself to a team effort, you work hard at it, and you think that you're one of those guys. This gives you confirmation that you're one of those guys, and that's a big deal for an athlete,
Yeah.
to be recognized by the people who have watched you played, who know about your your talents, who know about your commitment, and it's just a cool thing. I'm way out of the box for a lot of people. Probably never saw me play, but some of that historical stuff is still there, and that's because of people like you, Mike, who keep it alive and keep it going, and that's cool that we have
Well,
historical background and documentation to show that.
I appreciate it, Big Daddy. You're obviously a huge part of our history, and the I I know I asked you about this earlier when we talked a couple years ago, but refresh my memory on the story on how you got the name Big Daddy.
We That was so long ago, and Mike, I hope I don't ever forget this experience. But I was out at our school, Carver High School in Delray Beach, and was playing basketball with some friends. And the guys decided they were done playing and had to leave, and we had to walk across the football field to get home. Well, those guys lived in the opposite direction, so they went home, and I said, you know what, I'll just take a little nap. It was a beautiful spring day, and I hadn't been paying attention to the football program at all. And this is in the ninth grade, and I must have fallen asleep, and the next thing I know, Coach Roger Coffey, my high school coach, was tapping me on the shoulder, says, "Hey, we're going to have football practice. You might want to just, move over to the side there." So, okay, no problem, sir. And I stood up, and he says, "Better yet, get in that line over there, and with the lineman,
Yeah.
let's see if you have any skills." And and my cousin Alfonso Wilson, who was a really great receiver for us, and who ended up going to Bethune Cookman as a starter, wideout, uh, said, "Come on, Big Daddy," and it stuck. And even though I wasn't the biggest guy on the field, it
Yeah.
stuck. and and when Johnny and those guys brought us in, they wanted to make certain that everybody named knew that there was a guy named Big Daddy Hunt. I was surprised. I just didn't think coming to a program that big that you would get to keep your nickname, right?
Yeah.
uh, but
Well, when you're a dominant player like you were, that's how nicknames stay.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
and speaking of Johnny Majors, who was the head coach at Iowa State and was the person who and his staff were in charge of recruiting you. And at that
Mhm.
time, Coach Majors was really making a lot of effort down in Florida, getting some great players out of there. And we can name, I mean, Barry Hill. We can go on a lot of list of amazing players that were great players at Iowa State that were from the state of Florida.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
tell us about your recruitment from Coach Majors and his staff and how you got to Iowa State.
So, really interesting story. Um, Coach Green and Joe Avezzano were recruiting Florida for Johnny Majors, and Coach Ray Green um, came to our school, and this is sort of embarrassing, but I got to tell it. He was coming to recruit Barry Hill, and saw me playing and says, "I think I need to recruit both." That's how he
Yeah.
explained it to me. And when I explained to him in our meeting at school that I really wasn't interested in playing football in college, that I really wanted to go to trade school, and and he says, "Okay, I understand that." He says, "But you do understand this is an opportunity to play football against some of the best football players in the country." I said, "Yeah, I understand that, but that's got something else I want to do." And but Ray Green would not take no for an answer. He ended up going to my home and meeting with my mom and explaining to her what I had said and what my
Yeah.
intentions were
Yeah.
about my future. And so when I stepped through the door and he's sitting there with my mom, I knew I was in trouble. And sure enough, she stood up and says, "Do you know this man?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. That's Coach Green from Iowa State." And she said, "Can I see you in the bedroom for a minute?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." As you see, I came to Iowa State.
Yep.
I got a talking to that lasted forever, and she says, "Lawrence Hunt, if you don't take this opportunity, you are basically homeless, and you cannot call my sisters your aunties or your uncles uh, until you make a decision." And so I came out of that room and I made a quick decision. So
Well, we
that's
can all
that's
Cyclone fans can thank your mom for that one. That's for sure. You know, growing up in Florida, all of a sudden, fall of 1970, Big Daddy Hunt is on campus at Ames, Iowa for the first time. What was life like? I mean, that had to have been a different world where you were coming from, wasn't it?
well, I got to tell you, when we came in June um, um, for 2 days, it must have been August. We came in August. It was hot. It was strange. It was different. It was it was it was. I was overwhelmed. It was the players seemed a lot bigger. They seemed a lot stronger.
Yeah.
Uh, the atmosphere was different. Everything about my world was going to change, and I didn't realize how much it was going to change culturally, for sure. Uh,
Yeah.
Certainly, athletically, it was going to change because everybody was just as big, just as strong, and just as quick, and you were going to have to really buckle down. So, being in a different environment was certainly something it took a long time to adjust to, especially the winters. Like it took a long time to get used to being
Yeah.
cold all the time. But then spring would come, and then oh my God, how
Yeah.
beautiful was that? And then fall. Each season
Yeah.
was so different from what I was accustomed to in South Florida.
Yeah. Well, obviously, Big Daddy, your freshman couldn't play back in, and then now your sophomore year was 1971,
Hmm.
and you could argue is one of the greatest football teams in Iowa State history. Iowa State had never made a bowl game,
Right.
and that team went 8-3, and you were a big part of it as a starter right away on the defensive line. Tell us about this, the team and the sense of confidence that you guys had going into that year, because Coach Majors had been there 3 years prior, and
Yeah.
kind of made baby steps every year.
Yeah.
But was there something brewing in fall camp that you guys saw going into that year?
I think the beginning of two days, Johnny Majors uh, not only talked about it, he showed us what was on his mind. And I'll never forget the day that a bunch of alumni came over and they brought one of the steers that had been donated to the
Yep.
training table. And then these guys come out with like 3 or 4 crates of oranges, and and Johnny gives this speech. He says, "I want all of you to know, alumni and players, that our goal for this program is to get to the Orange Bowl. That was the goal, and we're going to commit ourselves to this. Each and every one of us will do that, and so the expectation was we're going to win. We're going to win big, and we're gonna show up in Miami and play in the
Yeah.
Orange Bowl. And
Yeah.
so every day at practice was committed to that.
Well, and the season couldn't have gone better. The only three losses were to basically three of the best teams in the nation
Yeah,
in Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Colorado.
at that time.
Um, and now you're 7-3 well, I'm sorry, 6-3, and you're going into the final home game of the year against Oklahoma State, and all of a sudden, for the first time, pretty much almost for the first time ever, there were a couple times in the past where there were bowl scouts
Hmm.
at a late Iowa State game, but it hadn't happened in a while.
Yeah.
You had bowl scouts at the game, Oklahoma State. You guys beat them 54 to nothing.
Yeah.
What was the feeling like, first of all, after that win, and then when you found out that Iowa State's going to the first bowl game?
After the win, well, you don't ever think about bowl prep. You're getting ready to play OK State, and Jackie Sherrill was a no nonsense kind of coach. My position coach was Jim Dyer. Jim Dyer was a complete opposite. He was excitable. He was fun to play with, and he really took a took great time and joy in coaching his guys. And I enjoyed working with Coach Jim Dyer. Man, he's just an awesome guy. Getting ready for Oklahoma State, all Coach Dyer said was, "Big Daddy, I just need you to understand these guys are big, strong, and they're going to come after you, and they're going to double you, and they're going to trap you, and we just got to get you ready for this action. We got to make this happen because you're going to be challenged because they've got a running game, and they're going to force that ball down your throat." And I got to tell you, man, that whole week getting ready for OK State was all business. Let's get ready. But even though we didn't talk bowl, we
Yeah.
all knew what was on the line, and every single position defensively. And I didn't spend much time on the offensive field at all, but but defensively, everybody committed themselves to the task, and it was fun. It was hard work, but getting to the game, we just exploded. Offensively, they just kept scoring and scoring, and
Yeah.
defensively, Coach Sherrill had just called a perfect game, and it was just fun. Tired, worn out, spent, but certainly overjoyed
Yeah.
with joy, man.
Well, anytime you can lay a goose egg in a conference game, it's quite an accomplishment. And obviously, the game ends, and you find out that the Sun Bowl is in attendance at the old Clyde Williams Field, and they let Coach Majors know that they have asked them to accept the bid to go to
Yeah.
the Sun Bowl, first bowl game in Iowa State football history. What was the feeling like, not
Oh,
only after the game, and then just like the week after around town in Ames?
oh
Had to have been
man,
electric.
it was electric. Everybody, it was a buzzing in town. And Mike, I can't remember, but I think we ended up taking Coach Majors off the field that day on our shoulders.
You did.
Uh,
You did.
and I remember it was me and uh, some other player. I can't remember who the other player was.
No, I think 100% it was you that had him. He was on your shoulders, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so getting into the locker room, it was just yelling and screaming and throwing and hugging and kissing, and we were just so excited. Young guys. We were the basically the freshmen who had helped make that happen. And we had Ike Harris, we had Willie Jones,
Oh, yeah.
we had Matt Blair, young
George
guys.
Amundsen.
Oh yeah, George Amundson, Keith Krefley. Oh man, I'm telling you, man, we had some players and guys that were older, the old school guys were helping us young guys fit in. Bob Mady and those guys, Ted Jornoff.
Yeah.
We were all just locked in on how to make this thing happen. But that was one happy locker room uh, that day.
Yeah. Well, and you still had another regular season game. You go to San Diego State and get that win. Now you're 8-3.
Yeah.
And now you're getting ready to play number 11 LSU, a great team. Burt Jones, quarterback, who was
Yeah.
um, tell us about one bowl prep. First time ever going down to El Paso. Had to have been just an unbelievable experience because no one at Iowa State had ever
Had ever
experienced,
been.
never been there before. And
Absolutely.
what was that like, the bowl prep down in El Paso and getting ready for that big game against a really good team?
So it was really scary at first, Mike, because we get the bid. It's never happened before. So the coaches can't even imagine what was going through their minds. So first day of practice, we're supposed to have practice. We're inside getting ready, and it's snowing. And then it snowed all weekend, I believe. And so they cleared off a space for us to practice. And fields all frozen, and we're slipping around and sliding around. And you could just tell Johnny Majors was not happy.
Yeah.
This is not going to work. And it ended. I think we ended up flying out a day or 2 days early because it was the weather was just awful, and he really wanted us to be prepared for LSU. Um, so getting down there early, and believe it or not, Mike, the first day that we were there, the first night that we were there, I left the window open in our bedroom. Barry and I were rooming together, and it snowed. You wake up, there's ice in the room. Oh no, this is crazy. But it didn't last. But
Yeah.
then practice went very well. We were all fired up. We were all excited. Felt like we had a good game plan. I certainly felt like I was ready to play, and Matt was never not ready to play football. And I got to tell you, between Matt Blair and Ted Jornoff
Uh,
defensively, those guys
wow.
they
Yeah.
brought the heat all day. And I'm not sure I made a single tackle all day. It seemed like I stayed on my back all day long, but it was certainly fun playing.
I do remember you telling me a story. The head coach at LSU was Charlie McClendon, correct? I think that was who
Yes,
it was. Legendary coach,
yeah, yeah.
where he said something to Coach Majors or you before the game of saying, we got to stop number 78.
So Jackie Sherrill, we're at this. We had a team event where both teams we were together having dinner, and it was a fun event. And I was walking with some of the other players, and Coach Sherrill motioned to me to come to him, and so I walked over, and he introduced me to Coach, and Coach reached out and he shook my hand, and and at what I didn't know at that time is that I'd made the sophomore All American team, and he and Coach Sherrill says, this is Big Daddy Hunt. And Coach looked at me and he says, you are the All American, sophomore All American that we're going to stop. Uh, you're an awesome football player, but we're gonna come and get you. And boy, did they come and get me. It was a long day, Mike. It was fun meeting him. It was fun playing against him. But I did not enjoy that day. I think it was the worst game of my life. Uh, but it was certainly fun trying to compete with those guys. And when we talk about LSU, Alabama, Clemson, that's a different kind of football. And
Yeah.
Big A football was pretty good, but that's a different kind of football. And it was fun to be on the field with those guys, competing with them.
Well, obviously, your first year went tremendously, earning sophomore All America honors, and now you're getting ready for your junior year, which is 1972. And another great year for Iowa State football, another bowl game.
Yeah,
Uh, Iowa State made the Liberty Bowl that year, but amazing games again that year, which obviously at that time, George Amundsen was a running back in 71, and then he moved to quarterback in 72. Great
right.
offense, great defense. But one game, I do want to ask you about is the famous Nebraska game, your junior year. And of course, it was Nebraska 23-23 tie. And I think it broke Nebraska's 24 game unbeaten
Yeah,
streak.
yeah.
And crazy ending. Amundsen hits, I think, Willie Jones right in the corner
Uh huh.
to basically tie the game with, I
Yeah,
don't know, 10, 15 seconds left.
yeah.
Kind of take it from there, Big Daddy.
Oh, so I mean, we're on the sidelines, the worst place for defensive lineman to be ever. You want to be on the field. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. So here we are. We're in this position to go ahead and win it. We got the best kicker in the Big Eight on our team, and unfortunately, unfortunately, Tom Gidgen misses, which is something that didn't happen very often. He was
Yeah.
always working hard. He was always focused. He was never not prepared. But this particular day, it just didn't happen, Mike. It just didn't happen. Disappointment, absolutely, absolutely. But the adrenaline that runs through you when you're in a big game like that, it'll carry the day.
Yeah.
and not one teammate that I can remember ever had a negative thing to say to Tom, because he'd been a big part of our winning, no matter
He
what.
was. He
He was a
was. And
big
also
part.
putting yeah, and also putting perspective, they had to clear the field because the fans rushed the field, correct? And
Yes,
that
they
took a
did.
lot of time. That took a lot of time.
Oh, absolutely,
And so
absolutely.
that probably didn't make things that probably added a lot more anxiety, I guess.
Well, for sure to
Yeah.
him, because he knows he was aware of how big this day was for us, and for a kicker to be on the sidelines watching the whole game, watching offense, watching defense, and watching back and forth, and no one expected our defense to hold Nebraska, but again, Jackie Sherrill and his team, they and his coaches, they prepared us quite well for Johnny Rogers and the Nebraska sweep right, sweep left.
Yeah.
We were
Yep.
cooking on all cylinders, and it was amazing to play against those guys. But when the day was over, we were just a point short.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but the experience itself is will carry on forever, man. It was a great experience.
Well, once again, Iowa State made the Liberty Bowl, played a good Georgia Tech team, and that was a very exciting game. Unfortunately, Iowa State fell 31-30,
Yeah,
and it came
yeah,
down to the final play. I think we scored a touchdown and we decided to go for two, correct?
yeah, yeah.
And what do you remember from that bowl trip? And that was in Memphis, and
I was so excited that Johnny Major said, "We didn't come to tie, we came to win." I was excited. I was just proud of him,
yeah,
and it was just like, "Hey, man, let's do this. We came to do this. Let's make it happen." And unfortunately, it didn't work out for us. But it was a right call. It's a call. If I had been a head coach, I would have called it myself.
yep,
So I
yep,
think he valued his players, trusted his players, and didn't want to tie. He wanted to win, and
yeah,
uh, and I think we were all in agreement with that. Another great experience playing ball against a big program, a good program, and being able to compete at that level. We played in the Big Eight, and we played a couple off conference, San Diego, and I think we went to Brigham Young one year,
yep,
played around conferences. But when you get to come south and play football, you're going into a different country, a different time zone,
yeah,
a
yeah.
different way of strapping it up, strapping it on, and going after it. And believe me, Georgia Tech they were well prepared for us.
Yeah, well, and the game, game ends were so close, had a
Yeah.
chance to win it, but you got some other bad news after the game that you probably didn't expect happening when Coach Majors told the team that he was leaving to go to Pitt. Tell us about when you found that out, and I assume you guys found out in the locker room, right?
After the game, we found out, and I was talking with Dan and a couple of guys a while ago, Dan Becker, and
Mm.
some of the guys had gotten the word, but I don't know how I hadn't. I had no idea that Johnny Majors was gonna, go through the post game stuff with us like he always does. Pointing out that we're not losers. You played a great game. You just ran into we just ran into a situation and we didn't get it right. We didn't call it right, guys. We left you guys hanging. Of course, we're out there executing, so it was a team effort on both sides of the ball, coaches and players. And I'll never forget looking at him and what? Why
Yeah,
would you leave? We had everything in place to compete for the Big Eight championship the following year. Matt was coming back, Barry was coming back, Mike Strong was coming back,
yep,
Willie Jones was coming back, Ike was coming back, Ted was coming back, and Wayne Stanley, Buddy Hardiman, Dan Becker, Ted Jornoff, Andre Roundtree. I mean, we had players, we had really serious players, and it was just hard to believe that
yeah,
he would take a position and move away from all that we had. But I also didn't know very much about Pittsburgh and all the dynamics, all the things that happen behind the scenes. And I guess when you look what Johnny Majors had to look forward to, looking down the future, hey guys, I'm going to get to where I want to be a lot sooner
Yeah.
than over here. And disappointing, but certainly understandable. And
Yeah.
no hard feelings for him, but I certainly wish that he had stayed.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of Cyclone fans think the same way you do, Big Daddy. And
Hmm.
uh, one person I just want to ask you about, because I know he's a dear friend, was a dear friend of yours, and Matt
Yeah,
Blair. And, sadly, we lost Matt 4 or 5 years ago. Well, actually, it's probably been longer than that. But Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players in Iowa State football history. What was he like to play with on defense?
oh my goodness. Oh, Mike, I think every team at Iowa State, every team has had at least one guy, maybe two guys that were just stellar in every way, in every way, and especially for the things that matter most uh, for team sports. I'm going to work as hard as anyone.
Hmm.
I'm going to come prepared every day, and I expect you to do the same. And and we are not losing football games. We will never lose. We're going to play to win. We're going to play until the last whistle is blown. That was Matt Blair's attitude. He was hard
Yeah.
nosed, hardworking, and fully committed to the team, fully committed to the winning effort, and not just defensively. He was committed to every player on our team, and he was a great teammate.
Yeah. And you had told me a story, Big Daddy, that, when obviously Matt had an extraordinary career in the NFL, multiple All Pro, Pro Bowls, you name it. He's in the Ring of Honor. But
Yeah.
you ended up going to Hawaii multiple times with him, right? When he was named to the Pro Bowl. Tell us about those experiences, hanging out with
So,
Matt later on in life.
so the first year he's I think it was his third year in the league, maybe fourth year in the league. He makes All Pro, and out of the blue he calls. He called me Larry. Larry, um, I hope that you and Gene can take some time off because you're coming to Hawaii with me. I just made All
Wow.
Pro, and of course you're screaming in the phone and yucking it up pretty good. And sure enough, it was probably 3 or 4 weeks later. These tickets arrived, but they were flying out of Minneapolis. He says, "I didn't want you to fly out of Des Moines. I wanted you to come here and be with me and fly with me, Larry Hunt." And so we get on this plane. Of course, his legs are so long. He's scooting back and he's uncomfortable, but we make it over and we have a great time.
That's
But
great.
but but that experience that year, I got to meet some of the best NFL football players of all time. I got to meet Peyton. Uh, I got to meet. Oh man, I met everybody
Yeah.
that you could think of, and it was so long ago, Mike. I can't remember all of them.
Yeah.
But it was such a great experience, and Matt and I had just started playing golf together, so we were playing racquetball some days when he had off, and then the other days we were playing golf, and then we went over to Molokai. We spent 3 days over there just playing golf and hanging out,
Yeah.
and it was having Matt Blair as a friend, having that kind of experience, and then the lifelong experience. I think Matt and I counted, we played golf in 14 or 15 different states,
Wow.
uh, Hawaii, Mexico, uh, and it just losing a good friend is never easy.
Yeah.
Losing a guy that is as close to you as a brother is something that you just learn to live with. And every day there's a picture behind us here of Matt and I at Iowa State, uh, and that's both my daughters have that picture in their homes. Matt Blair is
That's great.
considered Uncle Matt to them, and my grandkids know him as Uncle Matt to my two daughters, and we have six grandkids.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And obviously I think a lot of Cyclone fans will, really appreciate that story because both great players that, remain connected after their careers here at
Oh
Iowa
yeah.
State. Big Daddy, going into your senior year was obviously a challenge for you. You had a new coach. The transition is never really that easy. I think people don't understand that. Different philosophies. What was that like when Coach Bruce, Coach Earl Bruce took over heading into your final season at Iowa State?
It was it was very frustrating um, for seniors. We were accustomed to one system. Now we were switching to a different system. We were accustomed to being coached a different way. Now we were had to learn how to hear these guys and get it right at the same
Yep.
time. So you're pushing yourself to be a good player, to be a better player, to be that guy, and and they're pushing you to better understand, to learn their system. So there was a lot of learning going on, and you would think that in the 6 or 7 months you have to prepare for a season, that certainly it could happen. I don't think that we ever came together as a full unit, coaches and old players. I
Yeah.
just think we
Yeah.
struggled that entire year to get our footing, and we just never got it. I think we had all the correct pieces, we had all the right players, but we just never got on the same page. And that's because of lack of experience, lack of knowledge about one another, and certainly missing that one intangible thing, connection.
Yeah.
And coaches build connections with their players. You perform for your coach, and we just never got the connection that we had with Johnny Majors' team, and that's, I think that's the big difference, Mike. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody was any less committed. It's
Sure.
just that we just the system changed. I know I was moved from defensive tackle to nose guard with the ability to stand up and become a linebacker,
Yep.
and so that changed how we did things defensively. From my perspective, it was a good move, but as for our defensive unit, I'm not certain that it was the right move. I don't know. Hindsight's
Yeah.
always 2020. Um, but we were able to. I think we won 4 games that season.
Yep. Yep. 4-7. Well, and I think, and I think that's just kind of normal with a lot of transitions. And if you talk to a lot of Iowa State players during that era, it took a while, and then finally later in Coach Bruce's era, then they
Yeah.
did get the connection that they needed, and they had some very successful teams.
Oh, absolutely. I think that the
Yeah.
very next year, Wayne and those guys, with Buddy and
Yeah.
those guys, those teams, they had some great teams, some great standouts on those teams, and it was really a great comeback from 4-7. Now we're back on the right page, and we're
Sure.
moving down the road, and I'm really glad that he didn't just jump ship. He stayed the course and reaped the benefits of it, and so did the players.
Yeah. Well, Big Daddy, you had a great senior year, first team All Big Eight, 139 tackles, and I think you had a career high 19 against number three Oklahoma. Fabulous season, and obviously you were doing so well that the NFL scouts were looking at you,
Yeah,
and you end up getting drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And kind of tell us the story of how you decided to not pursue the NFL.
yeah. As much fun, Mike, as I had playing football and being around my teammates, uh, and I can never say I didn't enjoy that experience or those experiences. What I didn't like about football was becoming that other person. Um, um, and I may have taken it to an extreme, but in order for me to get hyped up to play football, I had to step
Hmm.
outside of myself and become someone else. I think the game where I think it was against Oklahoma when I made 19 tackles. I think it was Oklahoma. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Um, that day really helped me focus on who I wanted to be and who I wanted to become as a man. And what I was doing on that field that day was not was not the person that I
Yeah.
wanted to become. I was I didn't care if I hurt someone. I didn't care if I ran over someone, and I just didn't like that feeling. I didn't like it. I enjoyed playing, but I didn't like where I had to go, what I had to become in order to
Yep.
do that. And that was my weakness, and I wish that I could have done it differently, and perhaps I would have enjoyed playing professional football. But I just felt that at the next level, I was going to have to become a different person, even more so,
Yeah.
to compete at that level, because you're looking at ball players that have the X factor. Uh, they're big, they're strong, they're fast, they're motivated, and then they've got that one other thing. That one other thing, and it's the X factor, and it's different for everyone. That one extra thing, they have another gear that you don't see, and I just said no.
Yeah.
Also, Mike, coming to Iowa State on the plane over, I wrote my goals down, and if I have to go to Iowa State, I will not leave there without my degree. And if I have to play football, I'm going to be the best football player at my position. And and if I have to go to school, if I have to play football, I'm going to make certain I come back home and work in the community. Um, I was from a very poor family. Met some people along the way. Coach Roger Coffey, Barry Hill's mom, Mrs. Hill, our youth pastor at Mount Olive Baptist Church, um, and all of these people were involved in our community, helping young people go to the next level, making certain that we were respectful, making certain that we were working hard and hanging out with the right kind of people. And I had so respected those people that I said, you know what, I can do that too. I can be that person. I can work in the community and do some good as well. And uh, and and Mike, I am so happy. At 73, every one of my goals uh, has been realized. Everyone's come to fruition.
Yeah.
I'm so happy about that.
You accomplished every single one of them, Big Daddy, and we're
Yeah,
so happy for you. And
yeah, yeah.
uh, the one thing I've also, I've gotten to know you the last 3, 4 years, and despite living in Florida most of your life, you have deep Cyclone roots, and it sounds like you're really connected to your former Iowa State football teammates.
Uh,
Um, what is so cool about the Iowa State Cyclone
mm.
brotherhood in football that's so special?
It is. I don't think. I think you'll ask 20 of us that question, and we'll all say something different, perhaps.
Mhm.
Um, but when when you suffer through 2 days, when you lose a game that you know you should have won, when you make a mistake and one of your teammates covers for you, uh, when you can celebrate someone else's success, uh, and you're not jealous about it, you are truly happy and supportive. It's a full body, full emotional experience. And once you have those kinds of experiences with people, they don't just walk out of your life. You don't walk out of their
Yeah.
lives because you have something very tangible to relate to. But you also have that other thing, and I was totally committed to you, and you had to be. And Janky Sherrill said it best. When you put on my jersey, you cease to be black, you cease to be white. You are a cyclone, and that's the only thing I want you to focus on: being the best cyclone you can be. And I took that to heart, and I think all of my teammates did as well. And I
Yeah.
think every head coach says that to his teams because we're a diverse group of people from all walks of life. And coaches have to convince you and have to let you know that you are part of a larger group, and we expect each one of you to respect the other, and we expect each one of you to give this effort your all in all. And it binds you. A
Yeah.
shared goal binds you. And
Well, you are the epitome of this, and we're so happy that you're going to be our latest induction to the Iowa State Athletics Hall of Fame. How excited are you to come back this fall for your amazing achievement and honor?
So excited, so excited. There's only one restaurant I'm not going to. I won't name it, but I will bring my
Okay.
golf clubs. And
It's
I
September. It
intend,
should be okay. It should
yeah,
be okay.
I intend to be there, and I pray that I can get my grandson Mason to be there with me as well. His grandmother lives in Ames, and my daughter uh, is now who lived in Iowa City. Mason's mom is now at Michigan State. My
That's right.
son-in-law took
Yep.
the associate head coaching job there, so I'm certainly looking forward to them coming over and celebrating with us.
And, for listeners out there, so, your son-in-law is LeVar Woods,
Yes,
who's the special teams coach for Michigan State, correct? Yep.
yeah, he'll
And
be
was
a
it
special
Iowa?
team.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, he's
And
special teams coordinator for Iowa. He'll be special teams coordinator and associate coach at Michigan State, and
yep.
we're
And
so excited.
that's
We're
awesome.
so excited for him. But Mason told his dad, he says, "Dad, I'm a Hawkeye. That's your job to go coach. I'm staying with the Hawkeyes. I'm here to stay." So he has taught Mason some great things, and that's once you're committed to a team, you're committed, and that's something that I'm so proud of Mason for, and so proud of LeVar as well for
Yeah.
allowing his son to make that decision on his own. So
Well, Big
coming back,
Daddy,
I'm looking forward to coming back, Mike.
that's awesome. And we can't wait to have you back. Thanks for joining us on our CyCast.
Thank you so much, Mike, for the opportunity, and have a great week, man.